So the question I want to discuss here in this video is what are ordinary Russians' reactions to what happened with Trump? How Trump has changed? Will Ukraine win? Is Putin on the right track? Those kind of things. Now, before we talk about that, I want to preface by saying this. So this is from Time magazine. This is Hitler, and he's just loved by throngs of people. Like it's not just that Hitler did what he did; it's Hitler being empowered by people. Everywhere he went, they supported him and what he was doing. The evil that he was involved in, they were supporting. And without their support, I don't know that it could have actually taken like it did. Okay, so with that being said, let's look at this. Is Putin, and he's flanked by his generals. So Putin's clearly to blame. His generals are clearly to blame. But I think there's something to be said for not just nuts like Medvedev, and he's going to say stuff like this. Trump issued a theatrical ultimatum to the Kremlin. The world shuddered, expecting the consequences. Belligerent Europe was disappointed. Russia didn't care. Okay, so that's Medvedev. He rants all the time. What are ordinary Russians actually saying about this? So let's see. Yesterday, Trump promised to impose sanctions on Russia if the special military operation is not over in 50 days. Do you think this will have any impact on the course of hostilities? And the reply was probably not. I don't think so. Why don't you think so? I don't think we're going to rush and quickly stop everything, and there won't be a war. There won't be a war. There's already a war. I mean, maybe she's not. Maybe she's being politically correct, a la the Kremlin, and talking about the special military operation. Those sons of blanks will attack. Sorry, excuse. If we don't kill them, those Banderites, they'll attack us again. That's what I think. Whoa, they'll attack you again. When did they attack you the first time? They were in their own country. You attacked them. This is how the ordinary Russians are thinking about what's going on. And that's scary because it empowers Putin to do what Putin's doing. And it might be because they're just, in a famine of information where they're only getting the Kremlin narrative. That could be what's going on. But nevertheless, this is what's going on. Okay. A little bit more. No, it won't, says another. Why don't I think so? Because it's all ours, Russia's. It was, is, and everything should remain ours. That is, Ukraine belongs to Russia. That's what this little old lady is saying as a reply to that question. And that's actually terrifying. What exactly? All of it. The entire Kyiv region. She's not even talking about the Donbass. She's talking about Ukraine belonging to Russia. And that's where Russians are. In our country, Trump, has no influence on hostilities whatsoever. And in 50 days, we can march through all of Ukraine. Well, if you couldn't march through all of Ukraine up to this point, 1,200 some odd days later, I'm not sure how it's going to change in 50 days, but okay, if we want to. Okay. Of course it will, says another. We will stop paying attention to him and his promises, says another. Okay, another younger man. I don't know. Maybe the Dow Jones index will drop or rise or something like that. Oil prices will go up or down. Well, certainly. What difference does it make what he says? We have our own policy. Okay, so yes, the Dow will go up or it will go down. That's a pretty clear statement of nothing. I think Vladimir Vladimirovich will continue to stick to his guns, and he will simply, let's say, don't give a duck. I think you understand what I mean on all these statements. Well, this guy's been clear as mud, but he's, I think, saying that nothing's going to change and continue the policy of denazification of Ukraine, no matter what happens. Okay, so they're still talking about denazifying Ukraine as if there are Nazis that were there that they had to go root out, but they're talking about it like it's a real thing. Slowly but surely, we are moving toward victory. They're moving slowly. I'm not sure about the surely, but they are moving slowly. Okay, here's another older lady saying they all want to conquer Russia. Take America, for example. It's been trying to do so for years. So I don't know. If I were Putin, honestly, I would drop a bomb there to wipe everyone off the face of the earth. This little old lady is saying, I drop a bomb there to wipe everyone off the face. That's what Russians are saying. Now, not all Russians say this, right? You have a Garry Kasparov here or a Zach the Russian there, but this is what they're saying on the streets in Moscow. You can't go on like this. So many of our guys have died. All my grandsons are crippled. Wow, That's a tragedy. Listen to this. All my grandsons are crippled. My nephew was killed. One is still missing. How are we supposed to live like this? And that's a really good question. How are we supposed to live like this? But the blame is not in the right place. They're blaming Ukraine and the hunt for banderites and Nazis and that sort of thing, or America, when they should be blaming Vladimir Putin, who started the war to begin with. But that's not what they're doing. Okay, let me show you something else. This is a Russian propaganda video. This was put out by the Russia Media Monitor. They do great work as always, so special thanks to them. Let's hear what they have to say. So John Veroli is joining us live. He says, "Greetings, John," and John's going to be interviewed. Let's delve into domestic American issues. Let's look at these 100% tariffs and these 50-day ultimatums from a standpoint of domestic squabbles, because this is largely what is motivating Trump. Unfortunately, yesterday we witnessed and became totally convinced. Now, before we talk about what he's totally convinced about, if Trump is doing what the Russians want to do, they'll talk in glowing terms about him. He's the best. He's the only one who's listening. He's not like warmongering Europe. But if Trump's not doing what they are hoping, well, then you get stuff like this. We're convinced that President Trump's health is drastically worsening. Yesterday, he wasn't able to speak clearly, coherently, or intelligently. I urge you to closely examine the transcript of yesterday's meeting with Mark Rutte in English. You will see that the situation with Donald Trump's health is very, very serious. We can go line by line. I can show and prove it to you all, but we all understand that Donald Trump has truly lost his mind. They wouldn't be talking like that if he was doing what the Russians wanted him to do. He doesn't understand what's going on. Yesterday, he said that he listens to his wife's opinions about geopolitics. Shame on him. That he relies on his wife Melania's opinion. He thinks anti-aircraft missile systems run on batteries. Now, the guy's confusing things because Trump talked about batteries like batteries of these weapon systems, not like batteries like this, but he's confusing batteries and batteries. Yesterday, he said it runs on batteries. Yesterday, he said, we're sending Patriot systems with batteries to Kyiv. Of course, we understand that this is total nonsense, complete nonsense. There were many strange situations like this yesterday when the president wasn't able to speak clearly. Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Donald Trump's not noted for being very clear or coherent in his sentences. Obama was very articulate. Trump, not so much. What will happen to Donald Trump next? Clearly, his cognitive abilities will only get worse. Is what you're saying being discussed in the U.S., or are these your personal observations? No, absolutely not. Only independent experts are discussing this. Naturally, the official media is not discussing this. Clearly, it's forbidden to discuss this because the current situation is very convenient. I'm not sure that I'm following that, but he's going to delve into almost MAGA language about the deep state in just a moment. Watch this. Donald Trump is fully under control of the deep state because of his low level of mental capacity. Wait a minute now. The deep state is a term that MAGA uses to talk about what they call the uniparty of business as usual in Congress and government that controls everything. And Donald Trump was supposed to have broken away from that. And when he broke away from that and was kind of trying to make peace with Russia, the Russians were loving him for that. And as was MAGA saying, this is great. You're not doing what other presidents have done. He's using that same kind of language here. He's completely controlled by the deep state, he says. This is the kind of situation that they want. They wanted to create this situation. By the way, one expert told me, John, maybe someone is slipping him some pills. Okay, that's enough of that. We don't need to even go any further. They're hating it. So you're seeing that both professional propagandists and ordinary citizens are both not excited about Trump's direction, and that's a good thing. Okay, I'll leave you with this post from X. President Vladimir Putin intends to continue fighting in Ukraine until the West agrees to his peace terms, and he will not be deterred by U.S. President Donald Trump's threats of tougher sanctions. To which Darth Putin said, "Some of you may die, but this is a price I'm willing to pay." All right, my friends, that's where we are. Thank you for your time. Tell me what you think about this in the comments below. What do you think about what I showed you? I'm not sure that anything can really change in Russia until the people are no longer supporting Putin, which I think is going to be a tough haul. Tell me what you think about this. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.